Ladies and gentlemen, Bangladesh is a developing country that has made significant progress in the apparel and textile industry. But this sector still heavily relies on traditional energy sources, which can harm the environment and contribute to climate change. The adoption of renewable energy through green funding is a pathway to a net zero future for the apparel and textile industry in Bangladesh. Green funding can help businesses to transition to more sustainable energy sources, reduce the cost of energy, improve energy security, and reduce greenhouse gas emissions. By embracing green funding, Bangladesh can take a step towards a more sustainable future. Now, we are moving into our third plenary session of this forum, Renewable Energy Through Green Funding, Pathway to Net Zero for Apparel and Textile Industry in Bangladesh. To take their seats on the dais, I would like to request Mr. Javed Imran, Chief Risk Officer of IDCOL, Mr. Nasser Izaz Bijoy, CEO of Standard Chartered Bank and President of FICCI, Mr. Ahmed Shaheen, Eastern Bank Limited, Additional Managing Director and Head of Corporate Banking, Dr. Vidura Ralapanawe, Executive Vice President of EPIC Group, Mr. Ashish Damle, Country Director of Oxfam in Bangladesh, and Mr. Naushad Mustafa, Deputy General Manager of Bangladesh Bank. Requesting all of you to kindly take your seats on stage. I would also like to request Mr. Morten Lehman, CEO and founder of Tailwind, to please come up and moderate the session.
Thank you very much. And another great panel here. And this time discussing the road to a net zero future through green funding and renewable energy. And what pleases me especially about the great panelists today is that we have the different stakeholders here. We have the infrastructure development, we have the banks, and we have the NGO that will keep us all accountable for what we do. So first, I would like to ask Mr. Javed Imran, who's the Chief Risk Officer of the Infrastructure Development Company, to set the scene for us. Where are we today in Bangladesh in terms of renewable energy, and where do you see the future?
Thank you. So thank you for giving me the opportunity. First, I would like to tell you that Bangladesh is not the contributor. It's only contribute in greenhouse gas only less than 1%, 0.56% to be exact, but is the highest impacted country in the world, maybe one of the highest, 7th impacted country. So, to reduce greenhouse gas emission, Bangladesh has set a target. So Bangladesh government has targeted around 40% of its energy from renewable energy within 2041. And in IDCOL, we are working in that line. We have taken several projects. From 2003, we are working on solar home system. So it is one of the largest off-grid solar home system in the world, and there are more than 4 million houses where installed solar home system. And now what we are doing rooftop solar, because Bangladesh is land scarce country. We are financing solar rooftops, and for 1 megawatt of electricity, if you have roof more than 70 to 80,000 square feet, you can get 1 megawatt of electricity. So we are financing long-term finance in rooftop solar and in concessional terms. So we have rooftop solar, and in a study, it shows that Bangladesh has a capacity to generate more than 3,000 megawatt of electricity from rooftop, but we have targeted 300 megawatt of electricity within 2025. So in that case, we have already installed 40 megawatt of electricity through rooftop solar. In another cases, we have done solar irrigation, and we have installed 1,500 pumps, solar irrigation pumps, all over the country, and we have 26 solar mini grids. So that's how ITCOL is doing and contributing in renewable energy area. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now over to the people with the money, the banks. And starting with you, Mr. Nausha Mustafa, the Deputy General Manager of Bangladesh Bank. Can you talk about the work you're doing to secure funding and also what makes you hopeful for the future?
Thank you, Morten. Actually, Bangladesh Bank is, as a policymaker of financial sector, we have been focusing on sustainable financing starting from 2015 or 16. And 2018, we have first issued a comprehensive guideline to the banks and FIs that you need to focus on environmental risks and mitigating them when you go for a financing, whatever may be the source of fund. So this is the beginning. And at that time, we established a separate department even to focus on that thing. We call it Sustainable Finance Department. And they have been relentlessly working on those issues. And already we have a Green Transformation Fund. Its size is 5,000 crore BDT. I don't want to go into the details because time will not permit for that one. So we have identified some priority sectors to finance under GTF. The rate of interest is around 5%. We already, issued a taxonomy and all the things for issuing green bonds. There are 8 sectors and 88 activities under this green bond taxonomy. And we also instructed our banks, our banking industry, to have a dedicated desk for their, managing their investments in a sustainable way. And also we have identified some major, areas where we provide refinance facilities through our partner banks and FIs. We identified almost 66 or 67 items that banks can invest and come to us for refinance. And the list is growing. We revisit the lists on every year and so on. Besides our sustainable finance department, we also look into the garment sector from other perspective also, as garments is our largest export earning industry. And for that, we have different type of financing support. We know that an entrepreneur always looks for the business case. So they are not, I'm sorry to say, they are not much interested in, investing in process improvement. And Mr. Bidura is smiling on me. Definitely he will talk on these issues. But we know we need to make it a business case. And to make this type of investments a business case, I just want to add a bit detail on a particular project. We have different projects like JICA-funded urban building and safety projects. But right now, I'm going to talk a bit about SRIAP. We call it SRIAP. We support garments industries for mainly retrofitting and then for sustainable and for environmental and social upgradation. And this very unique nature of fund is, we call it unique because we not only provide financial support, we also provide our entrepreneurs through our partner banks and our technical supporters, the consultants, some sort of technical support also. They can come to us through them, and we help them, building their financial offer, their environmental mitigation plan, and blah, blah, blah. And not only that, we also manage to provide them some sort of grant. If any industry takes a loan from this window, they can have 10% of their principal amount to be repaid by a separate fund if the investment is for retrofitting. And if the investment are for environment and social upgradation, we will repay 20% of the principal amount. Thanks to our partner, I don't want to forget their names. AFD, French Development Agency, is providing us the credit line, and the grant amount we have been collecting from European Union and KfW. And also GIZ, Mr. Lange was here earlier from Textile Cluster of GIZ. They were a very important partner to us. We are working together, and 20 factories have already been, implemented the development activities. I just can't resist to mention 2-3 of the names. Mr. Miran Ali, supposed to be here. We financed Tarasima Apparels, we financed Snowtex, and many others. So many other industries are in the pipeline. We are working on that. So in brief, Bangladesh Bank is not, non-responsive to this countrywide need. And as we believe we are playing supporting role. The private sector entrepreneurs are, performing the lead role, but we are supporting in every way. You can come to us. We are very open to you. I think that will do for right now. I'll come back if.
Thank you very much. And we might come back to the business case. We talked earlier on this morning about what does success look like. So maybe we look at the business case in a different way than we did before. Maybe we measure success in a different way than we did before. But now over to Mr. Nasser Essas Bijoy, the CEO of Standard Chartered Bank. Can you see and talk to your role in this transition to more renewable energy?
Yeah. Thank you. The importance of climate change or ESG is no longer a discussion point. It is about how to address this, right? If you look at COP26, there were 90 global banks which participated, which accounts for almost 43% of the global banking assets. So the whole purpose is to come under the umbrella of Net Zero Transition Alliance, and there actually to decarbonize the portfolio of lending and investment by 2050. So it's no longer a discussion point whether we want to participate or not. It is we are all committed to do that. Now, let me just explain the landscape, because it is also about adaptation and mitigation. Because adaptation actually addresses the vulnerability of the impact of the climate change, and the mitigation addresses the reduction requirement of the climate change. Therefore, both are important. Both has actually opportunities for the banks for the right reasons. This is actually a purpose-led initiative. So on that particular place, let's say if you think about the adaptation, it is about getting the right, secure the safe and secure infrastructure. It is about agriculture, how you actually have a more flexible agriculture and climate resistant agriculture. Then about the evacuation plans. So all those are actually require financing. And just to give an example, that in our estimate, if by 2030, it will be $1.2 billion required for Bangladesh only. As we progress, the vulnerability goes up. Therefore, by 2030, it's 12.5. By 2050, it's going to be $59 billion of requirement. So there itself, a significant funding requirement will be there, and where banks will have to play an active part. Similarly, in mitigation, it's even bigger. If you look at the mitigation space, IFC did a review which shows that there are $172 billion requirement by 2040 alone. So that clearly shows this opportunity space. And how would you finance them, fund them? Because it's not only going to be financing, it will also be equity and other capital market products that will have to come to play. So the mitigation is obviously a bigger space where circularity almost accounts for 45%, but also the renewable energy and energy efficient industries, electronic vehicle, all those will play a role in addressing the mitigation part, right? So this we'll have to find out the sources of financing. So under Kyoto Protocol, there are obviously the Green Climate Fund, the Global, Green Capital Fund is there, and then we have the Global Environment Fund. Multilaterals are there, bilaterals are there, capital market is obviously there. But apart from that, in Bangladesh, as Mr. Naushad mentioned about, Central Bank has a 5,000 crore refinancing window at 1% rate and then banks can lend at 5%. But here, I would, equal is probably, in a way, significantly advantaged because they have access to this global green climate fund, and I think it's only equal and PKSF are the two entities which are currently eligible. I think if it can be broad-based, then it will actually help executing much faster. And to be, to accelerate the process, I think we need to also look at the policy framework, infrastructure to accelerate this process. So clearly there is significant opportunity. If you look at the global, I just have the number, let me quote the number. It's actually $2.36 trillion is the global, green bond market. So this is clearly a significant opportunity for banks to actually participate and private sector as well. So capital market will be a very, very important participant if you want to really finance them.
Amazing, thank you very much. And now over to Mr. Ahmed Shaheen, the Additional Managing Director of the Eastern Bank Limited. So what concrete activities do you do to support this transition?
Thank you, Martin. Thank you, Nasir. Already things are a little bit elaborated already. I would limit the position with the apparel industry here, since renewable energy or energy efficiency is a vast thing in other across the other industries and initiatives. But to be very specific with the apparel industries here, that we commercial banks do support the industries in terms of working capital mostly, but in Bangladesh, we have a lot more role also in the project financing as well, which is unlike other parts of the world, since the commercial banks are only the established financial system here. So we need to do possible everything for our customers when they take an initiative and a project. More of it's like a general practitioner, not specialized. But coming to this renewable energy side and energy efficiency also related with this, it requires something more than the common funding. One is in the tenor, because the payback might be a longer, and the other is as much as finer in terms of cost. So in these two initiatives, we commercial banks a little bit are handicapped. We don't have any off-the-shelf product to match with this. But what we do, we try to source as much as possible from the other sources. Like the central bank has a fund in green fund already initiated here, which is much cheaper or cost competitive in terms of local currency. It will be costing only 5%. There is ITCOL, specialized institutions, they are very focused on this. So what we can do, we can support our customers that the customers are with us, the security arrangement, cash flow arrangement, everything with us. So we can take the credit risk. Where we can take refinance, we can channelize that. Then it gives the industries much finer in terms of pricing and also a matching tenor. Also having the ITCOL, the multilaterals available in this space, we can align more. So what our role can be much more is how much we can relate with the available other supports and how much we can securitize for those institutions to come to this space and relate with the fund, because there are a lot of funds already committed, but the challenge is to channelize and utilize that. Okay, so in this space, I think we commercial banks, not only Eastern Bank, and Eastern Bank as a bank, we are very much dedicated and focused on this to work on this. But to be very specific, we need to learn more things also as well. So this sort of initiatives is also is creating more awareness and also bringing more focus and attention. So that's at this stage. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And now over to a manufacturing perspective. Vidura Alabhavar, Board Director of Sustainable Apparel Coalition, that's one hat. And then you're also the Executive Vice President of the EPIC Group Hong Kong. So wearing both hats, and you will decide who you are. You can be SAC in the first and then manufacturer. But where do you see, what are the biggest levers we need to pull to really succeed in this path toward a net zero economy?
Sure. Just to make it a little bit more complicated, I'll throw in a third hat. Before I became a corporate sustainability practitioner, I was a climate researcher. And if I use my climate researcher hat, I would say that we've already lost the war with climate crisis because the current carbon limits is not sustainable for either human survival nor human prosperity. So what that asks us to do is how fast do we have to run the race to net zero? And that ambition is what we should be governed. So that includes not just renewable energy, and a lot of the time the conversation is about renewable electricity, but we know our apparel industry uses quite a lot of thermal energy, so we're talking about renewable energy that supports our thermal, and also energy efficiency and other transitions that we have to make, everything from the way we make product to the products that we make. If you look at globally, this transition is actually turbocharged by the private sector. So states are moving towards decarbonization at a particular pace, but you will see the private sector has to run faster, partly because we can, partly because we must. Coming back to the lever, I would use a slightly different phrasing. I would say where is the biggest opportunity to rapidly decarbonize? And let me put this in context. As a company, we are attempting to halve our total carbon emissions by the end of this decade. At the same time that we are growing. So what does that mean? I have to halve my emissions in our operations. At the same time, I need to make sure that all my new factories are coming at net zero. So the opportunity we have is something we call collective action, because decarbonization of the value chain is a collective responsibility. It's not a manufacturer responsibility, it's not a brand responsibility, it's a collective responsibility. How we leverage the collective capability of the brands, manufacturers, the mills, the bankers, and everybody else. That's where the opportunity is, because all this time, what we have been doing is trying to run this race as individuals. We as a company is trying to decarbonize, brands are doing something else, mills are doing something else. It's never a collective journey, so that's where the opportunity is. I just want to make 4 quick points. A lot of the time, sustainable financing conversation is purely on debt. If you look at the amount of funding that is needed to decarbonize the apparel sector, it cannot be done through debt by the companies, nor can countries like Bangladesh be able to do this purely on debt. Second one is risk. Who bears the risk? How do we de-risk it? How do we underwrite the risk? How do we manage securitization? Third one, sustainable funding. 2 key points. Is it affordable? Is it accessible? If you think about a lot of the sustainable financing instruments that's on the table are not accessible to the majority of the facilities. So how do we get the funds to where it is needed the most? Not to the companies like us, but to the companies who need it most. We spoke from the morning about just transition. What does just transition look like in this context? And this is something interesting. And the fifth one, how do we really, this conversation on funding is always about payback. How do we fund the long to no payback investments? At the same time, how do we take away, there are instruments for this. There are instruments such as, bad investment banks. How do we create these tools that can help fast-track Bangladesh into a net zero economy? So these are the ones that we want to talk about. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think that's a good segue over to you. Mr. Ashish Damle, you're the country director of Oxfam. So from where you're sitting, what's missing when you go to work every day to secure a just transition?
Thank you, Martin. Oxfam's fundamental job is to listen to the people and amplify their voice and influence policies or policymakers, both nationally, regionally, and globally. And when we say people, it includes not only the communities where we work, but it also means the small-scale industries, small-scale entrepreneurs, medium-scale, the other entrepreneurs, private sector, and also the national government when we take these messages outside the country borders. When it comes to the transition to the green energy, we have added this word, or we focus on it, is just transition. That just is for us capital letters, bold and underline. And what do we mean by this is precisely that this transition is being influenced by the market forces, or it's organically evolving considering the limitation and strength that we have in the country. So for us, keeping the people and national interests at the center of this change is very important. And in that perspective, we do question, as Sir was also saying, that when it comes to finance in Bangladesh, which is the climate vulnerable recipient country, not because of its own deeds, because of the deeds that have happened in the West, then why should Bangladesh pay the cost for it? Why should the just transition cost or the finance is subjected to the debt? Why can't it be subjected to the compensation? And why cannot we fit it into the narrative of the damage and loss? So these are the aspects are part of our work on which we do research, we create dialogues, we create collaborations, and we would like to have this as collaborative efforts between not only within the organization or within the country here, but also with the West, that we have to explain them that yes, we will meet those standards, we will go towards that, but we would like to breathe in our own air with our own efforts at our own terms. And those needs to be negotiated, keeping the people at the center of those interests. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, all of you. So next, it's up to you out there to pick up your phones, look at the question that's in the Slido, and then vote. So we can get your answer up here on the big screen. And the question is, so here we have representatives from both financial institutions, business associations, manufacturers, NGOs, discussing the role of green funding as a pathway to renewable energy. So please rank these in terms of their potential to secure more green funding. National government, private financial institutions, brands, manufacturers, or international development organizations. So let's see. We have a leader in public-private partnerships. Somebody listened to Vidura talking about collaboration, perhaps? A strong number second in the government national plans, and more on the public-private partnerships. More and more, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. You have a winner, and you pick the winners out there now. So any comments from you, our dear panelists? Is this surprising to you, or? Yes.
Yeah, you see, public-private partnership, and ITCOL is an example of public-private partnership institution, and you see we have channelized $2.5 billion so far in renewable and energy efficient projects. So, and more in the pipeline. And what Ajazbhai told, that we are the national accredited entity of GCF, Green Climate Fund, and we have already approved $250 million fund for RMG and textile sector, not for solar rooftop, but also for energy efficient machineries. So the answer is right, I think. Public-private partnership is most required. Thank you.
Yes.
So I'm going to be a little bit contrarian here. I don't think that's where we need to go, and I'll contextualize this. We earlier spoke about how significant climate vulnerability is for Bangladesh. Bangladesh is not just apparel industry, and I'm speaking in the context of apparel industry. There are significant development, adaptation, and other needs that Bangladesh needs, and I would imagine the private-public partnership should be actually channeled to that. How does this industry decarbonize? I think we need to raise our own funding. I think we need to create the funding for our decarbonization through brand manufacturer collaborations. And there are instruments for this. We've been speaking for a while about something called a fair climate premium. that can be on the product, that can purely be going towards decarbonization of the value chain. We've seen models by some brands who are actually generating their own funds. H&M has a fund of $30 million per year for supply chain decarbonization. And there are other brands who are supposed to come on forward. Apparel Impact Institute is raising funds to decarbonize this. What I think we really need from the state is creating that enabling environment that allows this funding to come in, that helps the facilities to decarbonize. And that is partly that is on the financial sector. I think there's already quite a lot of positive sides on that, and you know, there are new models. I mean, SRIAP is something that I really like because it just breaks away from the traditional interest-based debt funding mechanism. But there's a second part that is equally important for this, and that is this renewable energy integration to decarbonize the apparel sector does not work if the national grid does not change to absorb the renewable energy. So there are things that happen. So if we get funding from Green Climate Fund, all the multilaterals, that should really go to change the infrastructure that allows the private sector to run this race faster, right? And my request to this industry, and I'm wearing both hats now, I'm wearing all three hats now, as a climate researcher, as a manufacturer, and as a director of Sustainable Apparel Coalition, we need to decarbonize faster than we think we can. And if you start thinking that you can do it faster, you'll actually decarbonize faster.
Yes.
Then one line. It's basically, I think it really shows that the requirement is such, the reason is so compelling, that there is no one sector that will be important. It's actually every one of the sectors, including consumer, needs to behave in a manner that encourages the more sustainable behavior.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think just to qualify a little bit further, when we talk about the apparel sector, it is part of the larger ecosystem. Considering a particular sector and not considering the other factions of this ecosystem, that has a danger in terms of actually one bringing the change itself, and also to then to prove and to create a space in that marketplace. So that is where I think we need to really concentrate on this whole ecosystem in such a way that even the people, the manufacturers, the small scale industry, the entire logistics supply chain is part of it.
Just one thing to repeat what I said earlier, that this is the, I think everybody's perception and understanding is correct, what we also perceive, that we need more collaboration. Collaboration to reach the goal. There are things in place, but we need more alignment. So we from the banks, the commercial banks, where the customers come first, so we need to work more, what we indicated, that how we can relate with the available resources elsewhere. So can we support like an one-stop service? Okay, so if we can do more, then alignment and resource allocation and resource availability will be much faster, and ultimately it will be helpful in the industry. So when industry takes a project, it needs to complete in time. So whatever best available, that we need to source. So we commercial banks can play this role, and we are trying this and we are aiming this. Thank you very much.
Just to reiterate and add, yes, public-private partnership or collaboration is happening in our country, but not at a very fast pace. So bring it on pace, you need government plans and support. And we cannot forget international partnership, not only with the development partners, but also we should include the brands, because our main destinations are in USA and the Europe. So they can be left out, as Mr. Javed Imran has been saying in his opening remarks. So I think these are okay, but you cannot separate it and pick one. That's it.
So we've talked about, and it's on the sign over there, that the future is now. The climate change is not something into the distant future. So if we close our eyes and open it again, it's now 2024. We're sitting here again. It's the same panel. You're back. And today you committed to something, so that next year I'll be asking you, so what did you do in that last year? So what have you done in this last year, imagining we are in 2024? Any comments on things that you would like to commit to, that you can see will make a difference already in a year from now? I know it's a tough one, but we also need to be very tangible. It's big things, but we need to act now. Yes?
Now, I think, clearly this is one of the important stands. We, as a Standard Chartered Bank, we have 3 stands. And accelerating net zero is number 1 stand that we have. It also includes the uplifting participation. So therefore, clearly, this is a priority for not only in Bangladesh, but for the group as a whole. And we are extremely committed in terms of not only financing, but also building awareness, working with, this forum to actually, we are looking at circularity, how can we promote circularity. So there will be a series of actions that will be seen by the market from Standard Chartered Bank and also from Foreign Investor Chamber of Commerce, that we believe all of us together are in it for a better future for Bangladesh.
So if all goes well, if I sit here, if I'm assuming that I'm going to sit here next year, there will be at least 1 new sustainable financing model in Bangladesh that we will support. And there will be, and that's talking as EPIC, and talking as Sustainable Apparel Coalition, I think there will be a model of collective action that brings brands and manufacturers and the mills together to collectively work on this without passing excessive burden to one part of the supply chain, one part of the value chain. So I think those 2, I'll be proud if I can come and say that, but that's where we're working towards.
Just to add, yes, definitely, Mr. Nasser Azaz Bijoy, the CEO of Standard Chartered, already cleared this thing that it's a continuous process. We need to improve ourselves, not on the organizational level only, but also to personal level. As if you can recall, today's plenary session regarding the climate change, Dr. Salimul Haq was present here, and he just add one thing, that not only as the institutional or organizational level, you need also to focus on the individual level, because everybody has to do their part rightly. Maybe a very little insignificant when you talked about individuals' contribution, but when you sum up this thing, it brings a result. That's it. And just to be share with you that as I am a finance guy practicing with some financial models and challenges, I did a certification course on Frankfurt School of Management for Sustainable Finance. So it's very insightful. So I'm trying to bring or keep myself updated what is happening in the finance area. I cannot be expert on everything, on sustainability, but sustainable finance, I should be, I think, keep myself updated to work on that area and contribute, even it's a little.
Thank you very much. Ashish?
Yeah, I think Oxfam is committed for bringing the damage and loss compensation at the center of this green financing discourse. And by 2024, we are definitely confident to at least bring the key players together on one page to create that strong narrative for Bangladesh.
Just to be very precise on your question, that what will be the difference from today and 2024 if we again sit here. Okay. So from our part, we'll take more initiatives on collaborating with the available resources, with Central Bank, with ITCOL, and with the multilaterals who are working in this space also. We are also already in talk. And what best possible way we can find to support the initiatives more and quickly. So that will, we hope, will create more impact and initiatives more visible in the industry. Thank you.
We are continuously updating ourselves. We know, we understand government we have long target in renewable energy, and we are striving to achieve some footprint in there. So this year we have restructured our renewable energy team, and we have going through some policy updates. So we are continuously updating ourselves to provide the best services to the market, to the industry. And we have field team, we have technical team to support this renewable energy. And we are also working with collaboration with others, like commercial banks. They can come up with providing guarantees to the in terms of credit enhancement. So in that way, we are working all possible ways so that in 2024 we can say that we had a great year in 2023. Thank you.
So we are coming to an end. I just want to give all of you the opportunity to give a final advice to the people out there. If they're struggling to secure green funding, what would be the key things you're looking for from them, where you'll want to jump at them and say, hey, I want to be the one who actually gives you the money because I can see the business case. Any final word of advice to the people in the room?
I can chip in. Just I would like to say that those who you haven't started your rooftop solar project, please come forward and come to us. We have our colleagues here. You can talk to them. And yes, one thing you may know or may not know that 1 kilowatt hour of rooftop is less than that of government bill of PDV. So you can easily do your rooftop solar projects, which is viable, economically viable. Thank you.
So I think, we have done a survey and the international brands have clearly said that from 75% of them said that they will start removing, suppliers who are not committed to net zero transition plan from 2025. So it's just 2 years away. Therefore, it is important for us to collaborate. So you should actually engage conversation with the international brands as well and the financial institutions, and you together, let's forge a partnership to see how we can actually deliver a much more harmonized, a very quick product that we can actually help you to finance the products.
I think my message would be is that we have a lot of traditional financing products, even in the sustainable financing space. And I think if you look at the scale of climate crisis and what we need to do to address, business as usual ain't going to cut it. So we need to create new models, new ways of financing. And we've been doing quite a lot of it, and we were using 2 principles in every time we structure a new one. Can we do something new that does not exist? So there is a part of innovation. And second thing at the same time, can it be scaled so that it's not just coming to Epic, but it can be used by others? So I think an invitation is look at the problems fairly deeply and say what type of instruments that are needed, because there's a huge space for financial innovation to take this country and the whole world towards the net zero world.
Just to add that, as the final words for today, we have been responding to the market. When we first designed SRIA project, we offered the product at maximum 7% of interest rate. But when country average interest rate becomes lower, maintaining all the bureaucracy, we bring down the interest rate on 5%. So we are responding, and this is a pilot project, but still we have space. Garments industries, apparel industries, those want to improve their processes, maintaining sustainability, they can come to us through our partner banks. And also, as a good news I want to share, 1st of March this month, we had a long meeting with our project team, including our Honorable Governor and AFD's senior executives. Probably there will be a much bigger second credit line targeting not only garments and apparel industries, also other productive sectors of the country. So facilities are there, but you need to explore and you need to come to us. We are there to help you, to serve you. That's it.
Thank you. And the final word?
Okay. I think when we talk about the transition, it is for the future generation. But our word is that not at the cost of our present generation either. So keep the people at the center of this change. Thank you.
I think this is a beautiful way to end this. We want progress for the future generation, but not at the cost of the present. Thank you very much for all your great inputs.